Hey guys, this video is going to be hopefully into a mitigated discussion um, about CPR. And as you know, almost every kid I talk about, I have some sort of CPR, face shield or gloves or something in the preparedness level, even in my EDC, that if I come across somebody in need, then I have no hesitations to go help that person. So, first off, I'd like to get a consensus of whether or not you are certified in CPR. And be honest, yes or no, or I plan to. I want to know why you haven't, whether it's just, everyday life is too busy. The cost of it, which is quite minimal compared to a lot of other things you could be doing. And then there's the fear factor of helping someone. And what I mean by that is recently there's been a lot of talk about a new technique, which I'll talk about in a second, but they talk about the reason for this technique, not in just the fact that it may be a better technique, that it may be quell some of the fears that a lot of people have of performing CPR. And this is kind of where the discussion is going to start. Is the fear of either being sued. Some people fear of hurting somebody because they're not properly trained. There are several fears. One, legitimate fear, but unless you're, prepared, is the transmission of, bodily fluids, HIV, other, herpes. There's other things you can get from trying to help a stranger. Now that is one legitimate fear, but with a face shield, even in my main kit, you can get larger one-way mouth guards. But I want to know why you haven't gotten it, if you haven't gotten it. And I guess part B of this video is I'd really like to hear from a lot of my professional viewers that are in medicine, that are in the first response aid. There's a couple medics, a couple firemen that have sent me PMs about some of my products. And then even you sheepdogs that are CPR certified. And this is where part B comes in. The newest technique that is being pushed by, I believe, the American Heart Association has to do with a commercial that I saw recently. And I don't have a TV. This was when I was visiting my family in Oregon. So some of my Oregon subscribers, you may have seen a similar commercial. And it had to do with basically just push on the patient. And it was a very extremely vague commercial. It started with a guy walking on his hands. And it's basically because it's called the hands-only technique. Now, if you are certified in CPR, obviously your ABCs and even your EDFs and DEF, but your airway, your breathing, your circulation, and assessing a patient, once you've acknowledged that somebody has called medical services, emergency services, whatever you want to, verbally use it. But somebody's called 911, help is on your way. You are creating a bridge of time before those professionals arrive and the accident happened. My problem with the hands-only technique is in the way it's being pushed through the commercials and advertised as you don't need any training. Now there's I looked into it, it wasn't something I hadn't heard of. I'm not, in the medical field, so I'm kind of out of the loop, and I'd seen this commercial and I looked into it, and the theory behind hands-only technique is, one, it squashes a lot of the fears that people have of performing CPR. The other is the training, and hands-only, obviously you call 911, and then they basically tell you to start chest compressions over 100 beats per minute immediately until professionals arrive. That is, I think, the most information I've seen on this via these public ads and commercials. And it's silly to call them commercial, but that's really what it is. The public service announcement. But it didn't give any, it doesn't, it basically says if you see someone collapse, I believe is the exact verbiage the commercial used, call 911 and start chest compressions. And the theory behind it is you start chest compressions, you've got 8 to 10 minutes of oxygenated blood already in your system that you don't need the technical breathing. And I really don't think it's that hard to do the 2 breaths, 15 compressions, 2 breaths in a 4 cycle, and then check again. It doesn't even talk about the rescue breaths, stopping to check the pulse, which some CPR classes have tossed out. And now everyone is, besides this hands only in this push button society, they're relying on a machine. These portable defibrillators have become smaller, cheaper, easier to use, and they practically just talk to you. So they're requiring a machine to tell them what to do, to put the patches on, to stand back and push a button. It's the quintessential push button society. Now, I'm not saying that portable defibrillators are not a good thing. In fact, it's one of the best ways to get a heart restarted. My problem is that with the public service announcement, and it just made me cringe when this thing basically said, if you see somebody collapse, you start doing chest compressions. Well, what if he was choking? It doesn't go over, drowning victims, not even checking to see if airways are clear. And it really sort of bugged me. And I guess that's just my main thing is I want to know from you guys if you think it's a good idea, but it's just the way it's being portrayed. Now, I agree the hands-only technique has a good amount of basis. But I'm still going to make sure that the scene is clear. I'm still going to make sure to see if he's breathing. If he's having a stroke and collapses, and he's moving and he's breathing, I'm not going to start chest compressions on the guy. It also doesn't mention anything about checking the guy's pulse. It basically says once he drops, you start chest compressions until help arrives. Well, what if you get his heart started back again? I have a hard problem with the lack of training behind this technique, and the fact that it seems like it's being created and pushed as a no-brainer. You'll help save somebody's life, and to help quell some of the fears that people have with performing CPR. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing. I gotta chill when I saw the commercial, and maybe it's because I don't watch TV. Maybe this is a completely normal thing in society nowadays, but let me know what you think, and I appreciate it. Thanks for your time, guys.